What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you joining me for another video today. As we've already talked about Joe Flacco becoming the starter. If you didn't see that video, then after this one's done, hey, go check that one out. I appreciate you stopping by for another one. And this one's going to be about AR and what's the future with AR? What's that look like? And kind of going to reiterate some stuff that I've talked about. I'm sorry if you've watched other videos and you're hearing me repeat yourself or hearing me repeat myself. I'm sorry. But going forward, like what's going to be the future of AR? And I think there are a couple different possibilities. And of course, you know, by the time tomorrow comes around, Shane has his press conference, things could change, right? A lot of things could change depending on what he says. Is this going to be for a game? Is this going to be for the rest of the season? And there are different thoughts that I have about all of it, right? And I think when you think about this is about holding him accountable. You, as a coach, you have to hold your players accountable, and what AR did, you can't do that. You, as the leader of the team, as the quarterback, just being the leader of the team is one thing. Being the quarterback, like, people need to understand what that means. And there are a lot of fans that seem to think the way AR thinks, like, and doesn't understand how important of a role being the quarterback is. You cannot no quarterback ever that can be on the field and help the team pulls himself out. Okay, because they are the guy. Anthony I don't know if right, it's one thing to be tired and not have good enough endurance, but to, like, it just shows, like, I feel like there's some sort of fear that lives in him. And he's only 22. This is the part where I will come back to, the part where I will give him a little bit of grace, is because he's only 22. And I just encourage fans to think about that. Anybody that's 25 and up, like, please just give him a little bit of grace, because he is only 22. Remember what you were like in your early 20s. And remember the type of growth that you took from a young man, right? And basically a boy still in your young 20s, and becoming a man as you go through your 20s and then into your 30s. I'm 31 years old, and I'm still working on it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm figuring more out about myself and figuring out how tough I am, right? My work ethic, toughness. And I know I've talked to plenty of people in the past like this. It's a very common thing. It's more common than not. There are some people that have it figured out and have incredible parents and an incredible upbringing. And by the time they're 18, 21 years old, they got it pretty well figured out. Most people aren't like that. So AR, that's where I give him a little grace. And that's where that stands. So just so you know, there is that portion of it. He's only 22. He has to mature, and I think that's a part of this. And that's why I think there's a possibility he could sit out the rest of the year, right? Somebody who's so young. And this is about, when I talk about holding him accountable, it's about showing him how volatile the position is. He very clearly, in his press conference after that game, he very clearly thought he could do that and he would still be the starting quarterback of this football team, because we drafted him to be the franchise quarterback. And this move right here is telling him that's not how this works. This is big boy football. This is a billion-dollar business. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what it really is. And what it really is you need to perform better on the field. And when it comes time to be a leader for this football team, you have to be the example setter, the main example setter. You have Pitt, Buck, JT, all these guys that set a good example for the team come up every single week as some of the toughest people on this team. And then you have your quarterback being a little sissy. You just can't do it. So for AR, again, a couple of my thoughts here. So this is either going to be one game and he's going to be the emergency quarterback. Sam's going to back up Joe. But you just have to show AR that this is how the league works. Just because you think you're the guy doesn't mean you're the guy. The guy is who works for it. You put the work in. You come in every week, prepare the right way, work to get better, work to be the best teammate and the best leader that you can possibly be, or you're just not going to be the guy. And so I think 1 week, could it be a 1 week thing? Sure. If we end up winning on Sunday Night Football and we beat the Vikings, good chance Joe Flacco starting again next week. So when you start thinking about that, right, and maybe we start to pile on the win, we have a really tough schedule coming up. So Joe Flacco being the starter over the next 5 weeks is probably the best thing for the Colts. And that's where it brings me, right? And let me pull up the schedule real quick. While I have your attention, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button. And of course, be subscribed and have notifications turned on. When you look at the channel, the amount of people that come here, 52.6% of the people that have watched content on this channel over the last month are not subscribed. And just to go deeper into those numbers, of the almost 14,000 views on this channel in the past month, 66.8% of those views come from people that are not subscribed to the channel. If you're one of those people, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Again, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button. Now, let's get back to the video because we play some tough opponents. We have a week 14 bye, which I think plays a factor. So if you want to have Joe Flacco, right, you beat the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, and then moving forward, you're like, okay, let's ride with Joe. We need AR to continue to understand that you can't quit on your team. We need AR to understand that you need to get better. And I think having him as the emergency quarterback also gives him time. You know, he's not working with the first team. He's not working with the second team. He can go off and we can start honing in his individual skills, the things that he has not been able to work on in the offseason, right? Coming into the NFL. Couldn't work on things because of combine training. And then last season had rehab, couldn't work on the individual stuff to make himself better. So maybe that's what we do, right? And you look at the Vikings, the Bills, Jets look like a dumpster fire right now, but then the Lions and then the Patriots, which should be a winnable game. And then we have the bye week. So you have 5 weeks, a little over a month, and then the bye week. So here I am, and I'm thinking that, you know, self-evaluation during the bye week is huge, but just up to that point, if you can use Anthony Richardson, I'm sorry, if you can have Anthony Richardson just continue to work on his things and hone in his skills, right? You know, come in before the team and work on things with the coaches, stay after practice, work on individual stuff. But, you know, obviously while team practice is going on, he needs to be around the team. He needs to be a part of the team, right? If you still want him as the future of the franchise, he needs to continue to be involved. You can't let his presence filter out from the team. He still needs to be a part of the team and needs to be around everybody. But with the schedule getting so difficult, right? Vikings, Bills, Lions, 3 very tough games over the next 4 weeks. And again, 5 weeks of football up until the bye week. And I think that would be a good opportunity for AR, okay, if we can win some games. Now, if we go through up to the bye week and we are at 500 still, or we end up in a position where we're under 500, right? Coming out of the bye week, we have the Broncos, which is a difficult game. Earlier in the season, I said that, you know, the Broncos could be a winnable game. Bo Nix is figuring it out. Him and Sean Payton working together. That team is figuring it out, and they're winning games. The Titans, we should be able to win. Giants, we should be able to win. Jacksonville in Indy should be a win. So we can possibly win those last 3 games, right? So if we get to a point where we're 6-7, 7-7, and then you can win those last 3 games, like, you know, maybe you have AR come back, right? And even if he loses to the Broncos to put us at 7-7, maybe he can win those last 3 games, and we can win those last 3 games and make it to 10-7, possible wild card team, right? But there are just so many questions, and I don't think we're going to move away from Anthony Richardson as the franchise quarterback. I just think he needs to mature. So there are multiple options here. You can either have him sit out this week, and everybody, you know, he's not the quarterback for prime time. He needs to understand his position. He needs to be held accountable. And then he comes back next week against the Bills. The Bills going to Indy. I feel like every time we play the Bills, it's in Buffalo. This time the Bills are going to be in Indianapolis. So maybe when we go back home, maybe Anthony's a starting quarterback. But then after that, right, if he doesn't only sit out 1 week, then I would assume after the bye week, there's a chance he could come back in Mile High Stadium over there in Denver against the Broncos. And if he doesn't start in that Broncos game, we're not going to see him for the rest of the season. And would I be completely surprised by that? No. Would I be okay with that? Sure. Again, because Joe Flacco probably does give us the best opportunity to win. Defense has really stepped up. Beginning of the year, it was really bad. But over these last few weeks, and of course, you play the Titans and you play the Dolphins. Not offensive juggernauts by any means, but the Texans were a team that had generally been able to put up points on us in the past, and we were able to hold them to 23, and really outside of the second quarter, we held them to 9 points. We just slipped up and let them drive down the field on us a couple times, or once. And then obviously Anthony throws an interception in the very next play, touchdown. So really, I mean, defense has played really well. They were a liability to start the year, but I think with the addition of Samuel Womack on the defense, and I think Jalen Jones with his length and his physicality, like we still play back, but there is more physicality in our defense overall. DeForest Buckner coming back is only going to help us. Dio's been playing really well. Latu doesn't get on the field enough, but he's been playing pretty well when he is on the field. So not so much concerned about the defense as it is. We just have to be able to put up 24 points a game. And I think Joe Flacco gives us an opportunity to do that, and he gives us a better chance to win. So as we go forward, and let's say Anthony does not play for the rest of the season, well, what does that do? Going into the offseason, because he's not playing, he's going to be healthy. He's healthy going into the offseason. There isn't combine training that he has to do. The only thing he has to focus on day one of the offseason starting, getting to work on his mechanics, getting to work on settling down in the pocket, continuing to mature. That's a big thing, right? Going back to what I talked about at the beginning of this video, the maturity that comes with growing in your early 20s. He's only 22 years. Like I was I was still running around doing some wild stuff at 22, you know what I mean? And obviously I'm not an NFL quarterback, but, still running around, partying and the girls and all the different things that come with being a 22-year-old man, right? And he's obviously not doing, at least I would hope, not doing all the same things. Hopefully he has his focus in the right place, but just going into the offseason healthy is going to be massive for Anthony Richardson. So there's a part of me that hopes for that. There's a part of me that hopes he does come back at some point so he can continue to get the reps, but he needs to be humbled, right? Again, that press conference after the game made me so irritated. Like, bro, you have to understand that, like, confidence is great, but again, being humble and understanding your own faults is a big part of growing up. Having some self-awareness is a big part of just being a big boy. Okay, and I think Anthony has some growing up to do, clearly, and I think this is going to be better for him and us in the long run, with the assumption that he can go into the offseason healthy and really start to hone in on his skills the way Josh Allen was able to do after his rookie season and had so much improvement in his second year. And Anthony still, 10 starts in his NFL career, I believe. And so still not even a full season of starts. He's still kind of a rookie. And he just needs to continue to mature. And he came into the league so young. Jaden Daniels come in, looks all polished and everything, which is great. I thought Jaden Daniels was going to be great in the NFL, but he's also a couple years older already. You know what I mean? A lot of these quarterbacks coming in a couple years older than AR. They're more seasoned. They're more mature. And AR just needs to get there, man. He needs some more maturity and needs to be humbled. I think this is a good step in the right direction. I think Anthony put Shane in an impossible position, a position that Shane didn't want to be in. He wanted to have AR continue to work through this in real time, but Shane really had no choice. People are going to bag on Shane, the AR believers, and I'm one of them. But I'm also realistic. I'm not going to sit here and just unrealistically support AR when there are clear deficiencies on the field. There's a clear maturity issue. He needs to take a step back, and Shane's doing the right thing. So I appreciate how this is going. I'm glad that it's going this way. I'm glad that Flacco is going to be the guy this upcoming Sunday night. And we're going to continue talking about this. There's still some other stuff that needs to be talked about now that Flacco's the quarterback. And we're going to have another video on that here in just a little while. So make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we have any more content dropping on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.